Okay, so the Vancouver Canucks just lost to the Winnipeg Airplanes, and you really cannot make this one up. And I'm going to use that kind of phrasing to describe just this entire night, dude, because when it comes to the tale of the game, the goals of the game, and the tale of the season as a whole for Vancouver with the results of what we have seen in this game, you really just can't make things up. So ultimately, just jumping to the end here, the game ends off, it's 4-0 Winnipeg, and the Jets absolutely go out there and on paper terrorize Vancouver. But as you're going to hear as we talk about this game over here, it really wasn't like that for a good part of the game. It's just, things go the way things go. Coming into tonight's game, though, on a serious note, the Vancouver Canucks theme for this game was the Hockey is for Everyone subtitle, and they did a really good job promoting it and also defending it in the comment section of Instagram. These are some of the comments that we saw from people. How about we stick to hockey? The Canucks talk about how there still is hockey. You should celebrate straight people, have a night for straight people, and the Canucks say, well, it's important to welcome those who sometimes may not always feel included. Again, just because somebody is celebrating something like, for example, Hockey is for Everyone night, it doesn't mean that if you're not part of that community that you are unwelcome. That is the complete opposite of what they're talking about. So I like how the Canucks were dealing with that, but I don't like how the Canucks were dealing with this game here. Because if you take a look at just what happened, they were okay. We'll just get that out of the way. They were okay for a good part of it. It's just things really started to fall apart towards the end, and maybe the season as a whole might be able to go down that same direction depending on how exactly the Canucks handle the results of tonight's game. This one started off with some very good Canucks spin passes. You know that move that I do in NHL sometimes where you're coming down the wing, you press L2, your player does a spin, and you use the spin to change the angle to allow yourself a more dangerous passing opportunity? Yeah, the Canucks were doing that a few times. Höglander had a nice one in the neutral zone, so did Horvat in the offensive zone. The Canucks looked real nice in the offensive zone early on. In particular, the Miller line had some really good looks, some really good cycling, but unfortunately, no shots on goal. There was a really good pace of play in the first period overall for both teams, and one thing that I noticed was that the Canucks really liked that long stretch pass from their own goal line up into the neutral zone to a guy streaking in with speed, picking it up at the red line, coming in with that speed, breaking into the Winnipeg zone with control. And that's the big thing, with control. They did that a few times, and I loved it because it's a lot different from the typical dump and chase kind of strategy you see the Canucks employ a lot. Having some speed, building up that momentum, forcing yourself into the Winnipeg territory. I love that. However, it doesn't actually pay off because after the Canucks take things over into the Jets zone, it's played back to the point. And Alex Edler, he gambles. He tries to pinch in to take it. He loses. And then there's a 2-on-1 for Winnipeg with Schmidt as the last man back. Blake Wheeler goes 5-hole right through Thatcher Demko. It is 1-0 Winnipeg. And this is where things get kind of ridiculous for Vancouver afterwards, because Quinn Hughes hits the post immediately. Okay, there's a post there for Vancouver, not a shot on goal, but a post. That's going to sting a little bit later. It's a one-timer right off the JT Miller centering pass. Goodness gracious, what a chance there for Quinn Hughes. The Canucks really start to claw back, though, as they have some really good chances like Roussel and Grajovac. These guys had a 2-on-1 that Connor Hellebuyck poke-checked. Brock Besser also had a glove-down puck in tight where he wasn't able to beat Hellebuyck because he was kind of a little bit too tight in there. And then a few minutes later, it's JT Miller in the neutral zone who tries to intercept a play. He kind of commits into it, and he misses the interception. It leads to a Blake Wheeler and Paul Stastny 2-on-1, and then they go back and forth, and this time it is Thatcher Demko with the pad save after the Jets kind of do a little bit too much passing. It's 1-0 still, and Thatcher Demko is doing what Thatcher Demko has done, keeping the team in the game when they need to. Both the Canucks and the Airplanes have a good amount of chances towards the end, good, meaningful chances, and both goalies standing tall. However, the second period is where things started to get a little bit out of hand, as the Jets came out of the gate with some fire, with some really good chances back-to-back. Eventually, it's Zach McEwen who takes a really kind of meh holding penalty. And the Canucks kind of feel a little bit under siege here on the penalty kill. However, they are playing the skill stick pretty nicely. Their defensive strategy of just kind of laying there, blocking off all the passing lanes, and the Jets can only cycle it around in the perimeter. Eventually, once McEwen gets out of the box, he picks up the puck on the rush, he comes in on a 2-on-1, and he gets absolutely robbed by Connor Hellebuyck. He toe drags it around the Winnipeg Jets defender, who was just right there, down and out. Absolutely crazy play over there. McEwen with the best chance of the game, aside from that Quinn Hughes shot off the post. And the Canucks start to get some really good mojo back. Good chances, good zone time around the halfway mark of the game. So the energy is really starting to build up for Vancouver here. However, give them a power play and it all starts to go away, because they really cannot set up afterwards. The only real chance on the power play for Vancouver was a wraparound centering pass from Gaudette that Niels Höglander wasn't even prepared for. He didn't have a stick down to shoot it. Afterwards, though, it goes back and forth a little bit more, and then you have Antoine Roussel, who takes the puck wide on a fast break. He drops it back for the Zach attack. Zach McEwen, who one-times it wide. Connor Hellebuyck was down. He had space over the shoulder. Zach McEwen with the two best chances of the period for Vancouver. The first one was stopped. The second one was over the net. You can see he's feeling frustrated on the bench about that one. Zach McEwen is in the right place at the right time, but he just cannot convert there. The Canucks, however, towards the end of the second period start fading away as the Jets get the majority of the chances on paper. At the end of two periods, I'm kind of feeling pretty confident. I'm like, okay, it's only 1-0. The Canucks have chances somewhat. I mean, they're not really shooting it on goal, but they're getting some forms of chances, right? Like the McEwen chances, the Hughes post, things feel pretty all right for Vancouver. And then the third period is just where the Winnipeg Jets kind of strapped the Canucks off, dug their fists into the heart of the Canucks, and just ripped them wide open. That's some Mortal Kombat imagery right there. But Bo Horvat blocks an Alex Edler shot. He looks uncomfortable, and he leaves the game. Eventually, that was the end of Horvat's night. He is out, and he looked like he was in some pretty big pain when the play happened. You could see the Jets kind of like shoving him off. They're like standing up at their bench and using their sticks to push him towards the Canucks bench. Good, respectful play over there by the Jets. Gotta love that over there. But you have to think, now that Bo Horvat looks like he might be out, now that Pettersson is out for another week, is this the incentive the Vancouver Canucks need to stop thinking about trying to go for the playoffs and maybe start selling? Just a quick reference to our video before where Elliot Friedman said because the Canucks were winning, the Canucks didn't want to start selling because they started winning again. Who knows if this is going to be the incentive to go out there and start doing what you wanted to do, which was build a team for 2 years in the future because you said you wanted to be competitive in 2 years. Regardless, let's go back to the game here. The Winnipeg Jets get another 2-on-1 because this time Quinn Hughes pinches a little bit too deep. It's Lowry and Kopp, and Adam Lowry tries to center it to Kopp, but Jace Howrluck is there. He is down, and it deflects off of Howrluck's stick, and it pops up and over the goalie perfectly into the net. That was like something you would see in the old NHL video games, where it just kind of pop flies, and it perfectly arcs over everybody straight into the back of the cage there. The unluckiest goal I've ever seen, and, you know, it is what it is. It's 2-0 for Winnipeg, and the Vancouver Canucks try to respond immediately after. Guess what? It's Jordy Ben. He goes right off the post with a long shot from the point. Make that 2 very clear posts that Connor Hellebuyck did not see and did not save. Then you have some other stuff. It was Tyler Myers. He had a good rush and a shot. That was cool. Adam Gaudette stole the puck in the zone, and he wrung one off the outside of the post as well. So 3 posts in the game, and guess what? It's the Winnipeg Jets getting another 2-on-0 odd man rush. This time, it was actually deflected by Travis Hamonic over the glass, so that was cool, but like, wow, Vancouver is giving up these chances. It's like vintage Vancouver over here. You can't make this up, dude. All these 2-on-0s, 2-on-1s, the weird goal that goes in, all the posts that Vancouver is hitting, plus the fact that Bo Horvat potentially being sidelined for an extended amount of time could lead to what is the ultimate shift in the direction of this Vancouver Canucks team this year. It could lead to it, not saying it will. I think it probably should, depending on the verdict of Horvat's injury, but it is what it is. The Jets then got some crazy good zone time, really good cycling game, and Adam Lowry had a really nasty, nasty goal off of such a dirty tip by Andrew Kopp out in front, who received the pass from the point and one-time directs it through the crease to Lowry on the open side. A few minutes later, the Canucks are still down 3-0. Thatcher Demko decides to go to the bench. As the Canucks have the puck in their own zone, they start the breakout. After Demko goes to the bench, guess what? The Canucks pull off the sloppiest break-in I've ever seen. They're so careless with the puck as it eventually gets sidelined on the boards, and then the Jets take it back. Thatcher Demko has to skate, dash, sprint right back to his crease because the Jets are coming back on an odd man rush again, and eventually it's Paul Stastny who shoots it and scores it because Demko is out of position because he tried to come back to the net after the Canucks just completely gave up. Like, what was that? That was so bad. It's almost comical how bad that was. Yeah, you really can't make it up. So the Vancouver Canucks lose this one 4-0. Connor Hellebuyck gets the shutout. Good on him, honestly. Connor Hellebuyck has had a rough month, so seeing him rebound in a way that was seeing him getting a 100 save percentage in this one, good to see, although the Canucks did indeed have some chances that could have broken through and they just missed or they went off the post. Yeah, Canucks luck, right? So talk to me in the comments what you thought about this one. The Canucks end up losing again in regulation. Here we go, boys. Is this the downfall? Depending on what Horvat's injury status is like, because Petey is still out too, because they're waiting a week for Boyd. I know the Canucks only have one more game this week, but you know what? Let me have this moment. Talk to me in the comments what you thought. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.